Recently, I did a video for one of my subscribers who asked me to talk about iOS AV3s that I enjoy using for making music, my favorites. So this video is part of his request, and he asked me about VSTs and plugins that I use. So I told him I would do one on iOS and then one on desktop. And I'm doing this not to say you need to get everything I have, but just showing you what I use. If you like the styles of music I do, here's some of the things that work for me. Okay. So again, I've collected this stuff over a period of time. You don't need to go out and buy all this stuff to make music, but these are some things that I enjoy. All right, let's just start with some of the ones that are pretty easy to find. Scalar 2. Yes, I'll use it on desktop. Yes, I use it on iOS. For me, it's a quick tool to write songs. It doesn't mean I can't play the song if I wanted to, but sometimes when you're just trying to get an idea down, maybe you're not in the mood to sit and play out the song, but you need some chords to kind of get your build up going on. That's what I grab. Scalar 2. Okay. Harmony Bloom. Yes, I use it on iOS. And yes, I use it on desktop. It's great on my cinematic and ambient type stuff to create some movement going on. And it's helpful too because it can be less robotic for creating melodies and things of that nature. You have 8 presets. I've done videos on this plugin. Highly suggest it. It's not super expensive either. All right, let's talk about bass. I'm going to skip keys for now. I'll come back because that's going to be the biggest one. Bass, I'm typically either going to play my actual jazz bass or I'm going to use Trillion. And I've talked about this before. Spectrasonics, Trillion. My favorite preset in there is the Muted Jazz bass by Petrucci. It's an R&B type bass. And I tend to use that on most things. If I'm not using that, I'm gravitating towards an acoustic upright for jazz. This is not all instruments like this. You can use synth. There's synth bass like mono bass. You can create your own stuff in here too. It's really nice. Great plug-in. Not cheap, but the sound is amazing. And most people can't even tell when I'm playing my actual bass versus that. They can't distinguish what the difference is in the song. So when I don't have time to play or don't want to plug up the real bass, then I'm using Trillion for my bass. Okay, moving on. Addictive Drums is something new that I brought into my life recently, and I like it a lot. You can get it on sale. I think it's on sale right now, actually, like 40% off. So you can get like the whole bundle of it, like right around $500. But I'm not saying you need it. It's just nice if you want different sounds of drums that sound real, sound like an actual authentic drum. I'm big on natural instruments more than I am synth, although I do use synth too at times. So I'll talk about that in a second. All right, so if you don't have Addictive Drums, you don't really need it. There's another company out there called Gorin Grooves, and they make a handy drums, and these are them right here. You can see, so you can get them. They're pretty good. I don't feel like they're better than Addictive Drums, but I feel like they're quality enough to get the real drum sound out, and they're definitely cheaper than Addictive Drums. You can get the whole collection, I think, for like $250. So if you want something more affordable in that route, I would say go there. All right, moving on. Keys. So I have a bunch of different keys that I like, some synth, some not. When I go for my piano sounds, I'm going to go typically for Spitfire Audio or Keyscape, somewhere around there, or Rhodes Anthology. So here's Rhodes Anthology. I'll show it to you. That's Rhodes Anthology. You get 4 different instruments with a bunch of presets. I highly recommend this if you want Rhodes. Keyscape is kind of your all around, giving you everything, and they sound really good. So you get all these different presets. Okay, so there you go with that. Let me show you a little bit of Spitfire audio. I love this intimate piano, this grand. You don't get to really see much. It's not a looker, I want to call it, but it's an amazing sound and it sounds really good. So these are only like $30. So I highly suggest going this route first before you touch Keyscape, because for the cost of Keyscape, you could get all of these Spitfire audios plus the Rhodes, and you'd still be under the cost. So really good options. Omnisphere is amazing when it comes to synth. And Omnisphere, if you have Omnisphere, Keyscape, and Trillion, you get all three that can play in Omnisphere. So if you look here, you'll see you have all of those in here, the libraries. So in my opinion, this is one of the best synths out there as far as being able to build your own sound. Incredible stuff. And I use it for a lot of my ambient, cinematic, and other type stuff. So let's keep it going. All right, next, let's talk about Dawson. I talk about them a lot with Myth and Novum. Really use them, and they're even Love and Hate. I use those sometimes, but Novum is incredible when it comes to being able to have granular and being able to pick different layers of the synth that you want to use. So you can drop a sample in this or Myth and create your own instruments. And I think they sound wonderful, especially when you put your own samples in. You can use their presets and drop your sample in with their preset settings. Pretty cool. And that is the same for Myth. And I've done videos on Myth. I'll pull it up, let you see it, but feel free to go watch those videos I've done on Myth. You can have up to 2 samples and they can be fading into each other, and there's all kinds of stuff. I'm not going to get into how they work so much, but just so you know, those are available. Okay, let's keep it pushing. When it comes to Arturia, the V collection is just great. I mean, Pigments, you have all these different instruments. You can see here the Mini Brute, the Mini Freak, all of those are great. Prophet. If you get the V collection and you get Analog Lab Pro, you can mix up to 2 different sounds together and layer those sounds. So in my opinion, I'll show it to you, the Analog V collection is a solid win no matter what. You'll see here, so like if I go to my sound banks, excuse me, let's just pull up something. Here's a pad. So over here, I can drop in 2 different sounds. So I can have that and then pull that in, and now I can stack them and they'll play together. Right? So pretty cool for a quick coming up with something. And you can see if you get the V collection, you got a ton of stuff in here. And to me, as far as sound, you're solid with that. Okay, I think that is it on instruments. That's the main. Oh wait, let me talk about Ample Sound guitars. AmpleSound.net. I mean, it's incredible when it comes to 335s and different guitars that you can use, humbuckers or like a Strat if you want a Strat. Here, take a look. Oops, I didn't mean to do that. Hold on one second. Did I drop it? Okay, I didn't drop it. Yeah, so a Strat or a humbucker. These guitars sound pretty authentic, and I play guitar, so I can tell you I would hate it if it was really bad. I would just be like, I ain't using this mess. With the amplifier, I use IK's Amplitude. I think it sounds really good. It's a solid one if you need amplifiers. And what I really love about it is they actually have collections of authentic sound, close sounding amps like Fender. I use the Twin Reverb a lot. Boom, just drop that in. Now it's my clean guitar amp. So really simple. You can mix it with the Ample Sound guitars and use them collectively together. Ample Sound has some bass in there too. So if you just need some simple bass things, you can buy from them. They're kind of pricey, but catch them on sale and they're worthy. Okay, the same as I use on iOS, I love Swarm Instruments. Now on desktop, I don't have nearly as many because they're more expensive. I got mine on sale. Um, they offer student discounts, so you can take a look into that and see if that's something that you're able to do. So I'm not going to pull them up because I've shown these before a million times. But if you know, in my case, I use the trumpets and the saxophones probably the most. The rest of them, I don't really use them that much, to be honest. The flutes are pretty good too. All right. Glitch machines. I've done videos on these. You can go check them out. Cataract. I use Cataract probably the most when I'm looking for textural stuff and I just want to drop in some samples and then have it scramble those samples and make little bits and stuff in the back. That's my go-to. Fracture XT is a plug-in effect that you can do that. It's a very similar thing. You can put it into a cool track over a loop and create these new interesting things. So these scanners scan the wave that you drop in. You can have up to 4, and then it starts just making some interesting textural stuff that you can use. So I have a lot of songs that I use that in. I'm not going to go through every plugin, but I got these so cheap. I think it was like under $100 for all of them. It's crazy how cheap it was. So I bought them when they were on sale. Plugin Boutique, check them out. Glitch machines. Okay. Let's go to, I'm trying to think about what other plugins. All right, let's go to Valhalla because I know what that is, and Eventide, and UAD. All right, so effects, delay and reverb. I typically will go with Valhalla. When it comes to other reverb sounds and things, Black Hole is really nice for ambient. I think Valhalla can do everything though. You don't really need Black Hole if you got Valhalla's stuff. It's particularly the shimmer, the vintage verb, the free supermassive, and the delay. So if you bought 3 of those and got the free ones, you'd have 6, right? So out of the package, those are the ones that are I mostly use. Okay, I talked about Eventide. All right, inside of Ableton, I've shown you guys this before. You have, God Popsicle. You have all these Max for Live plugins. I love Max for Live stuff, and I think it's worthy to have. I do use Clevgrand's Haze 2. I use this from Plugin Alliance, which is more like character added effects, like a 12-bit sound, and you can create these unique sounds. And by the way, they tell you everything they do, like lo-fi and all that kind of stuff. So I'm not going to get into that. You can check those out. There's a ton of Max for Live stuff that you can grab. So again, you need to do some more research on that. If you don't have Ableton, or if you're not interested in Ableton, I'm not going to make this about Ableton, because then you have to focus in on just what I would use. And if you don't have Ableton, it wouldn't help you at all. So I'm not going to talk about Ableton plugins, though I use quite a bit of those, I'll be honest. All right, so I think you've seen the majority of the plugins. The only other ones that I would probably speak on is XLN's Life, which is great for making percussion. I've shown the videos on that. And the UVI Workstation Percussion Factory, which is pretty good. If you haven't seen that, I don't know why I'm saying I don't have a license. It's tripping. But I do have Percussion Factory license that I own. Okay, so they kind of updated this library. It looks a little weird, so my brain is like, where in the world is my stuff? But you can see these presets that are in here. And if you load a preset, you can go in here and adjust how they play. You can go in here and change up the rhythms. It's really detailed. A lot of good randomization stuff for making percussion. I haven't used it in a while, but I will speak on it that it's one of the best and one of my favorites. What other stuff is in here that you should know about? I already talked about all that. I do have the MPC plugins in here, like Air Delay Pro, Air Flavor Pro, Air Multiband, Filter Bank, which I got for free, Air Soft Clipper. I think a lot of these I was getting for free. So I don't say don't get them, but I wouldn't buy it necessarily unless you just really want it. If I need a bass amp, one of my favorites is from Plug-in Alliance. It's Ampeg B15, and this particular amp is really nice. I think it's just one of the best sounding ones on there. It's an emulation of it, obviously, but if I'm not using that on the bass, then I just use some of the UAD plugins to try to give me what I need with regards to that. I have stuff like the Goodhertz Both compressor. I don't own the rest of these. These are demo versions. But the Goodhertz Both compressor is a really nice one if you want that 303 effect. I do have the Cable Guy stuff, which I rarely use, so I'm not even going to spend too much time stressing that. Like, if you need it, great, but if you don't, I never really use it, if I'm being honest. Let's see what else is out there. That's pretty much it. I have other plugins. I just don't use everything, and I don't want to tell you about a bunch of stuff that I really don't use. It's just a waste of time. So anyway, that's it for this video. That's kind of my desktop. I spend way more time on desktop than I do on iOS. It used to be the opposite. I was on iOS a lot more than desktop, but I love my instruments sounding good, especially natural instruments. And I find iOS has a ton of synths, but not a lot of good natural sounding instruments like guitars, guitars, bass guitars, and the keys I won't even complain about because, like I said, Piano Tech, if you get that, you have it on iOS as well as desktop. That's kind of a win for you if you can afford it. It's, quite expensive. I don't have it, but I mean, if I could get it, I'd definitely get it. Let's see. That is about it. I think there's some other plugins I have like Lifelines, Console Expanse, Lounge Lizard, but I don't use them, to be honest. And yeah, I think that's it. Well, this video is over. I appreciate everyone's time and clicking on these videos to watch them and putting up with me and my unscripted videos, which I'm very much into. I do not like editing or scripting stuff. I want it to be natural, like you're talking to a friend. That's kind of how I function. But that's it with this video. Hope all is well.